Oh, mate, Sam, by the way, there's an absolute howler in your spreadsheet that you put on from the official world golf rankings. I don't know if Cal spotted it, but Rory Sabatini in there, who's South African.
Fucking hell.
Did you
It's not, because I've got a different nationality against him.
He's not confused with the... Do you get confused with the President's Cup?
Rory Sabatini has changed nationalities to play for like Lithuania or something, so he can play in the Olympics.
Oh no! Actually, you've got a point. He's Czech.
Because his flag on my spreadsheet is Czech.
He's Czech Republic.
You might need to retract that one.
I didn't drop that one in the pod.
Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and today I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Hello.
Cal Wing.
You got it.
And Sir Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Howdy.
What was that? You got it.
As always, you can get in touch with us on @CookieJarGolf on Instagram, Twitter or Facebook. And today we've got a special episode for you. It's going to be basically surrounded by the Ryder Cup. We're going to start off with the 2018, have a little chat about it, and then move on to our 12 captains' picks for 2020. So,
do you reckon it's going to be 12 captains' picks? I can't see any other way they're going to do this year.
I don't know. I mean, they can't really go on what's happened before because they haven't had enough time to prep for it. They haven't had enough time, enough competitions.
The qualification process is completely gone, so at least half the tournament has been cancelled. So
I still think they'll probably have, maybe the top 5 or 6 at least picks will be decided on world ranking, because that is the best gauge you can have of how someone's playing is how they were playing beforehand. I think it's a big stretch to say, look, all these players are really going to come good, and as a result, we should consider everyone from the captain's perspective. I mean, people like McIlroy, Rahm, Fleetwood, you'd think they're all pretty safe bets as a result of just how consistent they've been over the last couple of years, and that's shown by their world ranking.
There's time yet to justify your picks anyway, Bruce. There's time for that. We'll get to that. Don't worry.
The thing with the Ryder Cup, it's not the qualification criteria isn't based over a rolling 2-year period. It's what happened essentially the year before. So it's not like we are just missing out. It's like we're just basing it on 2019 instead of 2020. It's not a huge difference.
Well, we should definitely see, won't we? So I guess the other thing that's quite interesting looking at the Ryder Cup is there's a couple of factors in here. One, it seems like the main tournament that kind of preys on having huge levels of spectators and the kind of atmosphere around that. And there's a massive talk around, is it going to be played without spectators? And then kind of what would be the impact of that? I don't know. That's one thought. And the second's the course. Like, I find it really bizarre that Ryder Cups are typically played, in my experience, on some absolute dog shit golf courses. And going over to the States and playing it on what is a, really kind of revered track in Whistling Straits, linksy, and yet we don't turn that out in Europe. It almost seems quite strange. It's almost like America have almost picked a track that almost sets up better to the European eye in some respects. I don't know what people think on that.
Well, I think traditionally it's quite match play type course, isn't it? Where they have lots of water, lots of hero shots. Whistling Straits isn't like that. And I think it probably will set up quite well for the Europeans. Although when the last PGA was in Whistling Straits in 2015, like the top 40 was just dominated by non-Europeans. I think we had about 4 in it. So we didn't do that well.
2010.
That was the year he ran away with it that year, didn't he? Absolutely blitzed it.
Well, no, it's when DJ got disqualified for grounding.
Oh, yeah. That was it. The sand trap, wasn't it? Just up in the dunes on 18.
Yeah, had a playoff with Bubba Watson as a result. Keimer did, yeah.
Yeah.
That was chronic to watch.
Well, yeah, that's when Bubba Watson. He hadn't won a major at that point, and I'm pretty sure Bubba there's a drivable hole that they played on the playoff, I think, and he went for a couple of outrageous shots in there, and Keimer ended up beating him by 1, I think. But yeah, it's an interesting point you make there about the standard of the American courses that the Ryder Cups are played on versus the European ones, because obviously Hazeltine, where it was last held in 2016, is a pretty revered course. And I think by and large, it seems like they maybe play courses over in the States that are typically where you've had, major champions as well, major championships held as well, Medina being the obvious example. So I think, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't know whether it sets up better for the Europeans necessarily, but there's just so many unknowns and so many variables, and up in the air at the moment. It's going to be tough to say.
And I'm thinking long and high rough. Would that be fair to say?
I don't know. I mean,
well, they moaned about that in Nacional, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that's what they're going to go for.
I don't think high rough's the hazard. It's more waste areas and sandy waste areas and kind of uneven lies. But I think you can drive it, not everywhere, but there's going to be less of a premium on driving accuracy than Le Golf National. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that was just basically all about who could keep it down the middle, wasn't it? I mean, the guys even going off with 3 woods and stuff down the first, it was just suicidal moves. They almost had to hit the fairway, otherwise you were basically giving the hole away. It's not going to be like that, Whistling Straits. Like, you're going to probably need a bit of length in the locker, and yeah, I mean, it will be really interesting to see how it all plays out anyway.
Yeah, on the spectators point, I don't think, a lot of people obviously said this over the last couple of weeks, and there's still a lot of uncertainty, but I don't see how it could be an event without spectators. I think it'd be far better to just cancel it, postpone it, shift it back, shift the President's Cup back as well if you need to, and do what they did in 2001 when 9/11 happened and they cancelled it and obviously moved it to even number years. It's just not an event that seems viable, especially given that the sponsorship of it's a bit peculiar because players aren't paid anything, and how these things are funded is obviously kind of different. If the European Tour and even the PGA Tour are in some degree of financial difficulty, then I think it's worth going for the more conservative option and making sure that the fans are able to enjoy it in a year's time.
Well, I think watching a lot of European golf on TV, you can see, sometimes a lot of those events are played without many spectators, and it's quite a tough watch when they're like nailing birdies and all this stuff, and it's just no atmosphere whatsoever. It's really hard to engage with it, and I think if we have to move forward with the Ryder Cup without spectators, I don't know how that's going to translate to TV either.
I don't think it would be a Ryder Cup. It just wouldn't be the same, would it? I think that's the uniqueness of the event.
I mean, what's exactly? It's just not the same. I mean, who's Patrick Reed going to shush? Who's how's Rory going to? Who's Rory going to feed off?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Poulter, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been postponed before, hasn't
chest.
it? I mean, 9/11 being the most recent example, but it has been postponed before, and it's still gone on after the postponement to, it's lived on as this amazing spectacle and brilliant fixture or brilliant event. So, I don't know if there really is. The Open's already been postponed to next year. I don't see what the issue is with erring on the side of caution and postponing the Ryder Cup as well.
Podrick Harrington has come out and said that he'd be happy to be played without spectators, which I thought was an odd move, especially since some of the players have come out and said they wouldn't want that.
Yeah, I think it depends.
It's different for a European, isn't it? I think for him, if you're purely thinking about winning, which isn't obviously the number one priority, is to make it a great spectacle and a great event. It's not just about winning it, as silly as that may sound. And if you're an opposing captain going to foreign soil, going to US soil in his case, and removing that sort of 13th player, as it were, from their team, i.e. the crowd, then you could see how that would probably play into the Europeans' hands. But just for the sake of the event as a whole, and if the event's going to live on in golf as the spectacle that it is, I don't think that having spectators playing it behind closed doors is a good thing.
So I guess what we want to do is kind of maybe let's work on the basis that the event goes ahead. We've got 12 captains picks because there's no money list that's going to, let's just assume that Padre's got to pick from 12 European players on sheer, gut feel, based on data and based on kind of form, and that there's no kind of exemption spots like you would get typically out with the top 8 coming through money lists and rankings and things like that then. So we've all kind of studied away hard. I mean, kind of sat there sweating the data or, probably in some other respects, just kind of shooting from the hip. We've got 12 players, right? And I kind of be interested to see who's on everyone's list, really. I mean, it's a left field pick, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that Rory McIlroy deserves a spot in the Ryder Cup team, and I suspect there's some common ground across the pod, right?
Yeah, he's certainly found my team.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the best form by a mile, hasn't he? So he's definitely in my team as well.
It's incredible when you look at his age, like 5 Ryder Cups he's played. Like, he's still, fairly young in his career. He's actually, when you look at the people around him on those like rankings and the people he's likely playing against, he's actually one of the most experienced kind of Ryder Cup hands out there now.
And actually, he's got better than average winning percentage as well. Which sometimes I watch Rory in Ryder Cups, same way I watch Tiger sometimes. And I think he doesn't do as well as he should. But actually, when you look at his stats, 55% win ratio, 54% win ratio, it's pretty good. You want that on your team, don't you?
It's decent. Yeah, I get what you're saying about maybe not being as good as you'd expect it to be. And I think he's maybe not had, certainly in the singles departments, he's lost his last 2 Ryder Cup singles matches, 2016 and 2018. And I wonder whether it's sort of, to draw an analogy with cricket, it's a kind of a Joe Root scenario where taking on that extra leadership duty, being, as you say, Sam, such an established player on the team, I wonder whether that maybe interferes slightly with his ability to go out and just focus on his own golf and play his own sort of own game in those singles matches, which is maybe why he's just narrowly lost out to, I think, Patrick Reed and Justin Thomas. But yeah, I mean, you'd never bet against him, would you? So I think he's on his record alone and the form that he's displaying, he's definitely in all of our teams.
It's just the timekeeping front he needs to watch, really.
I'm sure someone will get him there on time. So, second pick.
It's so funny watching the guys kind of chew through that now on kind of various different reruns. Sky did a watch along, didn't they, at Medina? And it's so funny when you can see the sort of smirky faces when they're kind of on camera talking about the event. There's just
there's a story there, I think.
There is a story there. I don't know what it is, but it definitely needs exploring. So I, thinking about Rory, who would be your kind of, who would you pair him with if you're in Harrington's shoes? Because you think you got someone experienced.
You've got to pick the team first before we pick pairs.
Well, okay, but I'm just thinking while we move through our picks. 2018, we had 5 rookies in the lineup. I think. Are there any kind of left field rookie picks that anyone's got that they'd kind of volunteer Rory up as a bit of a partner?
I reckon.
I've got a good one. I think to be fair, I think these two would really gel. Victor Hovland.
Oh,
yeah,
he's made my team.
He is straight in my team.
Rory and Victor. That would be phenomenal. Straight out, first pairing out, bang. To be fair, you could put them out first or last or whichever position.
So, I mean, Hovland, has everyone got Hovland in their lineup?
Victor Hovland has made my team.
I do, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So Hovland is
he's a shoo-in.
He's like an absolute shoo-in rookie, right?
But that's interesting because where is he in the world rankings?
57.
But where was he 12 months ago, Bruce?
Fair point. But he is still pretty young, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
he's absolute fire. He's going to be a European Ryder Cupper for a long time. Get him in early, give him blood in.
And put him in with a Rory as well, where you kind of feel like there's a bit of experience and tenure around him. I think that's a great shout, Cal. I think a lot of what you say is absolute
also
drivel,
young enough to sort of be on his wavelength slightly. But that would just be an absolute scene, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I do think that's a 4-ball shot as opposed to a foursome shot.
I think Poulter. Yeah. I think I'd put Poulter or Hovland actually with him. I know I've just given away a pick there, but he played well with Poulter last time, didn't he?
We've all got Hovland and Rory then. So you're putting Poulter in your lineup, are you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's difficult to say where he's going at the moment. Obviously, he's had a bit of a dip in form.
I've also gone Poulter.
So you've got Poulter as well, Mills?
Me and Cal.
I've got him, yeah.
So I'm the outlier.
You haven't got him?
No, I love Ian Poulter. I think he's fantastic. I just think form, trajectory, not positive. And he has been an absolute star in the Ryder Cup side. He's played 6 Ryder Cups, 68% win percentage. I mean, the guy's numbers in that tournament are absolutely insane.
So why would you not pick him though? Because he's actually only a sort of 10 spots lower in the world ranking at the minute than
he's saying he's not going to deliver.
Well, I've got him one behind Hovland, so I'm having to make some difficult decisions here. I mean, it's not a criticism of Poulter in the least, but he has slipped back. So he finished 2019 at 43 in the official World Golf Rankings. He's slipped back quite considerably, 15 spots. He's up to 58th now. Is he going to have the game for Whistling Straits. I don't know. I'm not, he's made some kind of solid performances on links-esque golf courses, but I wouldn't put Poulter as a link specialist, or I wouldn't see anything in his game that would say to me that he's uniquely qualified to play that course better than anyone. And I partly wonder that you don't want to see that Ryder Cup where he's been such a he's like a sort of a totemic figure for the side for so many years, for them to then turn out and have an absolute crap weekend at it. I don't know.
So while Sam has put the postman on furlough, I would point you to the fact that it was only about 2 years ago that he almost lost his card. And I think the dude, every time that he gets his back to the wall, he just comes out and does it.
Yeah.
And I think, he might have slipped a few spots since the end of 2019, or the end of 2018. But, it wasn't that long ago he nearly lost his PGA Tour card. He knows how to scrap, and I think you want him in the changing room.
Okay, well, this is consensus, isn't it?
He's in the maybe pile for now.
And, I think the last time he was in a similar position to this in 2014, when he was picked by McGinley at Gleneagles, he's probably 38, 40, somewhere around there in the world rankings. And he was a captain's pick. And yet he's still, I think he won one match, halved a couple. He's not... I just distinctly remember watching him 2 years ago at Le Golf National playing DJ, who I think was the number one player in the world at the time, and beating him 1-up on a brutally difficult golf course, and just thinking, there's no way this guy on paper should ever beat Dustin Johnson.
No, he had a great back nine, didn't he? Didn't he birdie something the last 4 holes or something?
Unreal. Yeah,
it was.
And then and he like stuffed it in close on 18 as well. I think he was 1-up going down the 18th, and he's knocked it in close as well, just to sort of.
I think it was conceded.
This is why it was a difficult decision, because it kind of moves slightly. So if I look around Ian Poulter in terms of the rankings, when we looked at the numbers here, Poulter is one ahead of Tom Lewis in European rankings, which I think Tom Lewis is a great player. Rookie, I haven't picked him, but if I look above him, Hovland, we've unanimously agreed should go in, and then looked at GMAC, who's one spot ahead of Hovland. Now, for me, this came down to a decision of I've got to pick GMAC or Poulter. GMAC finished the rankings at 121 at the end of last year. He's in a rich vein of form, which has seen him now come in 72 spots. He's now inside top 50 in the world. And when you look at his Ryder Cup form, he's played 4, Poulter's played 6, but he's also packing a 60% win percentage, GMAC. And I thought, I don't know, just a little bit of me thinks there's probably a bit more of a linksman in there as well. And for me, it came down to an either-or decision. It was kind of a one or the other decision, rather. And that's kind of why I've kind of got GMAC in instead of Poulter. I think points you guys make are pretty valid. Don't know. Anyone else got GMAC in there?
No, he was close. He was probably sitting just outside. He was 13th or 14th on my list. So sadly, he didn't make the cut. But no, I mean, do you want me to kick off another one?
Well, let's just go back to the obvious ones. We'll put GMAC in the maybe folder, and we got Poulter in the maybe. We can debate whether who goes in once we've nailed down who's definitely in. I'll go in with the big dog, Jon Rahm. We've all got him.
Yep.
No brainer. Firepower beyond belief.
He's absolutely smoking at the moment, isn't he? And he had a chance. He was trending towards world number 1. Didn't quite get there, but he looked like he was going to get there in those last few tournaments before he was shut down. Dude's fire.
Yeah, he's number 2 in the world. You can't not pick him, can you?
He played 3 matches in France. Didn't have a great, but I mean, he was at a different stage in his career, and I actually don't think France set up that particularly well to him. So it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Like, why would you not have him in the side?
Okay, so we've got in Rory, Victor, and Jon Rahm.
Who would you pair him with then? So we've got Rory and Rahm. So just thinking about Rahm, in the same way we did for Rory, who was an obvious pick, who would be your who would you look to pair him up with?
You could have the Fire Twins and put Tyrrell Hatton with him. Watch them both explode.
No, I think that's just, they're going to boil over at that rate.
Yeah.
I actually think McIlroy's quite a decent, I think McIlroy's a pretty decent partner for Rahm, just because, they play similar games. They're obviously both, regular features on the PGA Tour. They play a lot of golf out there. And, even Rahm sort of shifted his schedule more stateside compared to some of the other European players. So they'll see a lot of each other on the tailor-made shoots as well, I'm guessing. They've probably got quite a decent rapport. And they play similar games. I mean, they're both long, straight hitters, like ball strikers. And I think Rahm's actually pretty hot with the putter as well, so that could really work well if McIlroy's, knocking it in close in the foursomes matches and Rahm's holing a few. That could be a pretty decent pairing in my eyes.
I've got a controversial view on pairing for Rahm.
So
do I.
So I think there's, unless I've dreamt this, I think there's no way you would pair him with Sergio. But there is a Spaniard a little bit further down the list, Rafa Cabrera Bello, who I thought would be quite a strong pairing for him. Now there's a slight gamble on lack of tenure in that pairing because they've only played one Ryder Cup each. Bit of sort of Spanish firepower there. Cal's shaking his head at me, but
no,
I haven't gone for
can't
Rafa.
see that. To be fair, I can't see Rafa near the team. To be honest, at the moment, he's don't think he's doing a huge amount. Not a bad player. It's such a strong team. I can't fit him into my 12. It doesn't work. Now I would put Rahm. I go other end of the spectrum and put him with Westwood.
Solid.
Because it's sort of bit of young and old. Both great off the tee. I think Rahm would really cheer Westwood on a bit with his putting. Westwood tee to green is just solid as you get. I think Westwood's. They're two quite big guys. I just think they'd be bouncing off each other quite well.
Anyone else got Westwood?
I've got Westwood.
I actually have as well. Yeah, I
same.
put him with a different partner.
Yeah.
Oh, so there you go. So is that our
Westies
fourth
in.
pick? So we've got Hovland, Rory, Rahm, and we're all going Westwood as well.
Yeah, so there's only
I
three
agree.
players. Only 4 players so far have come through with 4 votes, and Westwood's one of them so far.
Just before we bounce off Rahm's partner, I've got my controversial pick for Rahm's partner before we go on to Lee Westwood, which we need to talk about. Matt Wallace.
No.
Not in my side, I'm afraid.
The intensity there. Can you imagine that?
I would
Not
not
in
want to
my
play
side.
match play golf against him. He's intense.
No, it's a bit. No,
No,
he's got a bit to learn first, I think.
Well, Cal, please, you've got to
You've got to
explain
qualify
that
that statement now.
Yeah. The old hand of the European Tour over here from the benefit of his armchairs. Just
Cal can teach him a thing or two about coming through the Challenge Tour and into the PGA.
This is what we're here to debate. So,
Cal, when you're out on tour, what was it that you were so insistent on that Matt's lacking a little bit of at the early stages of his career?
Been brought here for a debate and to give my opinion.
Shots
He
fired,
just
I
winds
like
me
it.
up. He just winds me up. He's just me, myself, and I. He's just. I can't see him. I can't see a massive team player.
I don't know. I think he's solid. I wouldn't
he's
want to play
toys out the pram
18 holes of
too
match play
often.
against him.
Matt, if you ever want to come on the pod, we'll make sure Cal's not here. He doesn't speak for all of us, but
He's got
I
better.
know what you mean.
I'll give him that.
yeah, the
But,
Masters last year he didn't react great to, did he, when he won the par 3, and then anger seemed to get the better of him a little bit. But I mean, it's happened to all of us, hasn't it, on the course?
But I
so.
must admit, for the 2018 Ryder Cup, I was slightly open-mouthed at why he didn't get a captain's pick.
Same.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because the way he won in Denmark, I think it was before, and it was that was insane, to be fair. I'll take my hat off to him there. Very good. But I don't know.
So we're saying Matt Wallace, who is still 43rd in the world ranked. I mean, when we've picked Hovland, who's 57. Poulter is a chance he's 58. And we're going to chuck away Wallace 43.
Yeah, well, I think you've got to caveat this with a little bit of, we are armchair pundits for the purpose of this podcast. And also within that, we're picking 12 players with some pretty tough competition around that. Now, if you look at 2018, 5 rookies, there are some shit hot rookies out there that are, looking where we're looking to pick. We've already discussed people like Hovland, right? So, it's not easy. And I suppose if you look at form, that rich vein he was in 2 years ago, Cal, where he was kind of coming through. I was the same as you. It was like, kind of mouth wide open. But, I don't see him pitching up for a captain's pick in the same way now.
So I'll tell you who I've picked over Wallace. Wiesberger.
He's in mine.
I've got Wiesberger.
First Austrian to ever play a Ryder Cup, he would be.
As soon as he's so he came off that injury whenever it was a year ago, 18 months ago. Must have won at least 3 times since. Big events as well. He's solid.
I've got Bernd.
Just seems like a great guy. He's more or less he's there or thereabouts most weeks now.
3 wins in 2019.
Yeah.
He won the Maiden Denmark, the Scottish Open, and the Italian Open.
26th in the world. Very consistent.
Yeah, Wiesberger for me is sneaky good. Like, doesn't, you look at some of the names around him, like Westwood and Stenson and stuff, and that sort of similar grouping might not have the same sort of huge appeal when you're looking at filling in a bet for the bookmakers, but
yeah,
the guy's class. The guy's just consistent performer.
I think he's just got a little edge on Wallace. It's close. They're two great players. Great problem to have.
Wiesberger's one of those guys that perhaps because his television personality doesn't match up with his golf ability, he kind of just goes under the radar.
Oh, he's a bit of an Iceman, isn't he? He's just very cool.
He's probably got a bit of the Webb Simpson sort of effect, hasn't he? It doesn't have the same glamour and cachet in front of the TV cameras, but the guy, is consistently up on leaderboards. You always see him kind of kicking around in the right spots at tournaments.
Yeah.
So I saw 3 nodding heads. Did we get a nodding head from you, Bruce?
I was undecided about him. I put
so he wasn't in your 12, so you were decided.
He wasn't. Yeah. Well, no, I kind of left the 12th spot open, really, because there are a few different names I was kind of considering there. He was one of them. Another one was Danny Willett, which is maybe a little bit rogue, but I just figured that he seems to be on a road back to form. He's obviously won on the biggest stage of them all, that being the Masters. So I thought
pasting 2 years ago.
What do you mean?
Well, it didn't win a single point. Or get a half.
Yeah, a lot of that was down to probably his brother's comments, wasn't it?
What sorry, you mean 4 years ago? You mean in 2016?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm corrected.
Yeah, you armchair pundit. Yeah, that's a good point. I had actually forgotten about the comments about his brother and the controversy there in Hazeltine. So maybe that would actually push him out and push Wiesberger into my team. One pick I thought, well, I imagine we'll all have, but just to be sure, I think it was worth running over as sort of another shoe-in of the side. Tommy Fleetwood? Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah, he's in, 100%.
Is he in yours as well, Mills?
Yeah, he's in all of ours, yeah.
Okay.
80% win ratio. 80% win ratio is insane.
There's only one person you put with him.
Molly.
Ian Finnis?
Really?
Molly would.
Okay. But is Francesco in your teams then? Because I haven't got Francesco in mine.
No, he made it into my team.
Oh, no.
For that reason. That is just a great...
The guy's not... I don't think he's made a cut, has he, for about 3 or 4 months before this?
He's a proper... He was a proper 12th man shoe-in. Kick in, not shoe-in, kick in.
Francesco's in.
No, I don't think that's fair.
No,
I think
I'm well out on... Jury's well out on Molinari for the side.
He's got, he's got problems with his back as well. So there's maybe some questions around his physical fitness, which is why he,
if he's fit, he's in my team.
Yeah, but if he was fit, he'd be playing well because he's such a good player. I don't think he'd be having this slump without some kind of underlying injury. So who I thought I'd put Fleetwood with was Westwood. I reckon you just go with a bit of northern powerhouse.
Well, we did skirt over Westwood. Westwood, of course, if he makes it, will be joint record holder for Ryder Cup appearances with 11, sitting on 10 at the moment.
And he's playing great golf. I think we're all unanimous on Westwood. I think the really good thing about Westwood is the experience he brings, and he can go with any of the rookies or people who are kind of, only played in 2018, for instance. He would be a really good partner for anybody there. He's very, very flexible, isn't he, in terms of way he plays? Great all-round game, generally.
Just great.
Yeah.
I didn't pick Danny Willett, but Danny Willett and Westwood would be a good pairing.
You got to put the Northerners together, haven't you?
Can I offer up a rookie then? Sort of, I think we're just sort of, we'll recap in terms of where we're at in the picks, but we're making pretty good progress. Who's everyone's top placed rookie?
Wiesberger was my only rookie.
Wiesberger.
Matt Fitzpatrick.
Has no one got Shane Lowry on their side?
I've got Shane Lowry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I forget he's a rookie. I've got
oldest rookie, isn't he? Without question.
Yeah.
Or he just looks old.
He just doesn't feel like a rookie, does he?
He's in. You can't not put the Open champion in, so he's in mine. He's a great character, great team player by the looks of it. It's the sort of guy you're going to have a lot of fun with. I'd imagine he's got a voice in the changing rooms.
Tin lockers, fists on those.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so and also
Okay.
Irish as well.
So we've all got Lowry, haven't we? We've all got Lowry.
Yeah.
We've all got Larry, yeah.
Oh wow, there's actually a decent consensus emerging here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, 20 in the world as well.
I'm going to knock it down one to 21 in the world. Tyrrell.
Yeah, he's in mine.
Yeah, he's in mine as well.
And mine.
Cool. Tyrrell's in.
I personally think Hatton, kind of reflecting back on discussion about Poulter, I can see Hatton becoming the talisman for Team Europe in future years in the same way.
Yeah.
There's that obscene level of intensity, the fact that he can kind of, he just seems to be able to push himself, kind of under the gun. And that's a massive trait to have in this tournament. And he's just, where he's at in terms of his career, the form he's bringing into lockdown.
Well, he's won in America now, hasn't he? So having won in America and then go into a away Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits, I think he'd definitely have the mettle to, do a job there.
He won at the back end of last year in Turkey as well, which was pretty sure that was a Rolex Series event.
That was the playoff, wasn't it? They had 6 players going off down the...
He chipped in, didn't he, or something?
Oh, the one that happened at night.
He chipped in for birdie after, I think he bladed one through from the back right, didn't he? And then kind of holed one up the hill. It's just exactly that stuff that you'd want to put him in. So just recapping then, we've got some consensus on, we've got 4 picks on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players, I believe.
We got 7 in the team. We've got 4.
And we're saying we'd probably put Lowry with Hatton. So just jumping a bit further down the table, we started by saying who's everyone's top place rookie, who's everyone's bottom world ranking pick. Is everyone's Hovland, or do we go further down the list?
Yeah, no, I've got a real. I've had to go with my heart on this one.
It's not Colsaerts, is it, Cal?
It's Nicholas Colsaerts.
No, you haven't.
204th in the world.
Have you actually?
Sorry, but he is. Yeah, he's in.
I mean, he's not even on my spreadsheet.
Any credibility we had with listeners for being sort of serious, well-educated, well-researched pundits has just gone out of the window with that call there of Nicholas Colsaerts.
He nearly won about 6 months ago where was it?
Hey, he won the French Open. What are you talking about?
He won
End of October last year. Yeah.
DJ Colsaerts.
And the National.
We should caveat this with the fact that Cal actually has a poster of Nicholas Colsaerts above his bed and a small sort of pocket-sized picture of him in his wallet. I mean, it's bordering on obsession.
He features in every room. I mean, you open up cabinets and he's there on the inside of the cabinet, everywhere. He's long.
Can we swiftly
You need to be long in the States. Okay. He's that. He'll be the longest in the team by miles.
Has everyone else got Colsaerts in their team?
Can we swiftly kick Colsaerts to touch?
No. I mean, this
I'll be honest, I haven't.
To be fair, Bruce won't be old enough to remember Miracle at Medina. But but that was
I was 17.
The way he played there and partnered Westwood against Woods and Stricker, I think it was just. I think he shot like 62, 63 with his own ball. It's just phenomenal.
I mean, on that basis, you could pick anyone who's had a good round, can't you? Ball. Sam and I put up a pretty good 4-ball actually in October last year. Maybe one of us should get picked.
He's probably not going to get picked. But for my team, I had to put
outrageous.
Okay, well, I'll go in with a favourite of mine. Then I'll go further, not quite as far down as Cal's gone. And as much as I like Colsaerts and respect the guy, I don't think he would probably be slightly aghast at your previous comments. Bob McIntyre is definitely getting in the side for me. Really? Absolute ball striker, lefty. Everyone hates playing against a lefty.
I think that's boxing, not golf.
Just having to keep turning around to the other side of the tee box just drives you absolutely insane.
I'm not sure people felt that way about Phil at Le Golf National. I'm pretty sure people were happy to play left-handers there.
But he has grown up in to Oban, isn't it, or Oban in just outside Glasgow, west coast of Scotland. He will be a bit of a links fiend, I think. I think he's in the ascendancy of his career. I think he's a massive talent. I think he's young, and I think whenever I see him play in kind of a big stage, he seems to play pretty fearless golf. For me, he's in there. I think this is probably, as I'm talking this through, you guys are looking at me like this is Cal Wing talking about Nicholas Colsaerts, but I genuinely think this guy warrants a Ryder Cup pick.
He's definitely in the left field column.
Yeah, that's left field. I mean, we can stick Colsaerts and
I'm not
What's his
pairing him with
face?
Colsaerts, no.
Yeah, we can put McIntyre in the we can put McIntyre in the maybe, and we'll put Colsaerts in the definitely no file. We can never get back to McIntyre.
Well, let's polish off some ones that should be in.
Okay.
I've got to admit I haven't picked him, but Justin, you guys got him?
Yeah, he found his way into my team. Yeah,
He's in mine.
He's in mine.
14th in
He's
the
struggling with
world.
form a bit.
14th in the world, 5 appearances.
I'm happy to concede.
It's tough to look past him.
His short game is absolutely on
happy
fire,
to-
and in a match play environment, having a short game like Justin Rose has got it is valuable. There are certain elements of the game that become increasingly important as well, and the guy's experienced. He's won on every stage. There's no way.
You need a guy on the locker room
Does the
with a gold medal.
temporary dip in form, does that concern anybody?
No, I think form is temporary. I think class is permanent, and I think Rose is in that kind of bracket where, he's a classy player. I think he brings a huge amount to the team. I just can't imagine a team without him personally. I know what you mean, that there's a question mark on form.
Yeah, but I think the lockdown will do him favours in that regard because it's 6 weeks or 7 weeks or whatever it's been without competitive golf. Maybe it gives him time to just chill out, get this bit of perspective, work on a few things, because it's only really been the start of the year that's been bad. But yeah, I think he makes it into my team. So I think it's just you.
I'm happy
Mills.
to concede that. I'll concede that early. So he's in.
Okay, I had a slightly rogue one, but I don't think he is rogue, but he's definitely the person who's partnered Rose to great effect over the years, and that's Henrik Stenson.
Yeah,
No.
tough.
Didn't make mine.
Didn't make it into my team.
No, because
Did he
I
not?
was in
Really?
I was in the same space as I was with Poulter and GMAC for Westwood and Stenson. I looked at it and thought, there's too many rookies that stand off the page to me, and Stenson's kind of moving in a slightly different direction at the moment. What is he? 44, I think.
Yeah, but he did win it. He did win at Tigers Place back in December or just before President's Cup, I think. So, he can. And I know people say, "Oh, it's not a big PGA Tour event; it's a small field," but they're still the best players in the world, and he beat them all there. So
It was tough. He didn't quite have the edge on the dude for me. But there we go.
The dude, is that Colsaerts again?
The dude Colsaerts.
That's his nickname, yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, that wasn't a toss-up I was making, to be fair, and both notched up a W in 2019. So
Someone we've overlooked, Matt Fitzpatrick.
he's in my team.
25 in the world.
He's in my team. Yeah, for sure.
Just because he's
Yeah,
a
my
relation.
team.
He didn't get in your team, Sam.
No.
didn't
Didn't
make
get
it
my
into
team.
mine either. Distance
mate.
distance question mark. It's an absolute beast, Whistling Straits, isn't it? It's long as F. And
Can be.
Look where he's performed in the past. He won a US Amateur on a long course. I think that was Pinehurst. He's also won. He very nearly won at Bay Hill last year, which is another really long golf course. He does well on tough golf courses. I think he's, you talk about rookies and people, and Matt Wallace nearly making the team in 2018. Matt Fitzpatrick's on 2 occasions has narrowly missed out, and I think it would be wrong to overlook him for a third time.
Matt Fitzpatrick has been to a Ryder Cup and has an 0-2 record.
He didn't really get a look in, though, did he?
played 2 matches.
Well, he
Didn't he?
played 2
Played
matches
the
and
morning
lost
4
both.
ball or something. Got binned then for the remainder until Sunday,
14.
and then came in with 0 points, which I think that sucks. If you just get on the wrong side of a draw in the first round and then you end up on the bench till Sunday, I think that's probably quite tough for him. That's not ideal. I think it's difficult because we're looking at a broad spectrum. We're not just looking, are we, in terms of the world rankings. Guy's a winner. He's not got. He's played 1 Ryder Cup before, hasn't he? I think for me, didn't make it for the simple reason that maybe I've pigeonholed him as being somebody who's a shorter hitter, and therefore is he gonna have enough power against kind of some of the Americans out in Whistling Straits? And that for me was a bit of a question mark. I don't know. A very marginal call with Fitzpatrick. He's.
Yeah.
I've picked Wiesberger over Fitzpatrick. Now that's probably data would probably tell you that's probably not the wisest decision, but I don't know, just a bit of a
He
gut
has
feel.
he has played well on tough courses though. Fitzpatrick has played well on tough courses. You know, he obviously won a US Amateur on a long tough course, and he nearly won at Bay Hill last year. So I think he's pretty well accustomed to the US circuit, although he still plays a lot in Europe. So yeah, for that reason, he makes it into my team. I think in 2016 he was. It was just a weak team in general, and maybe didn't get a couple of great pairings, and the oversight by Darren Clark was maybe lacking a bit, which is why he had a sort of poor performance.
I'll chip in there slightly with probably back to Sam's comment of he might not be long enough, and I probably agree with that. You look at the courses where he's won. So I think his first win was Woburn, British Masters, and then he went Cran-Serre, whatever it is, Switzerland.
It's about 10,000 feet in the air, isn't it?
Exactly. So he's got a head start because the ball's flying that much further. But it's a similar sort of layout in a way where it is tree lined, everything else. You got to work your way around.
So how many picks have we got for Fitzpatrick? He's not hit mine.
I picked him.
One.
I picked him.
He's in the bin pile for now.
So he's one pick
shortly.
I mean, a shout for any other left field picks, but there's one person that none of us have talked about who's I think he's the all-time European point scorer.
Sergio.
Yeah, not for me.
Didn't make it.
Nah, funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we're agonising over leaving Poulter out, who, Sergio's moved forward since back end of 2019. Poulter's moved backwards. Sergio's got a stronger Ryder Cup record than Poulter and is higher in the rankings. And it's for 40 minutes of podcast discussion, it's not even been noteworthy. I just think that's an interesting kind of observation.
I think with Sergio, he doesn't strike as the talismanic type that Poulter is. And also in terms of, for me personally, I never quite recovered over the old bunker disaster he had. Where I look back at Sergio and think, I want that. Yeah.
There's been a few of those, though, hasn't there?
Did anyone pick him?
I think it's harsh. I picked him.
Did you?
Okay.
Yeah, because as you say, like he's the all-time leading point scorer. He's played in 9 out of the last 10 Ryder Cups. He's got an exceptional record. Obviously, it speaks for itself. And in the last 2 Ryder Cups in particular, he's played very well. So I think... I pick him. I don't know why. It seems silly to agonise, as you were saying, Sam. It seems silly to agonise over people like Danny Willett and Matt Fitzpatrick or Bob McIntyre and even Hovland when
you leave Bob McIntyre alone. Okay, leave everyone else fine, but leave Bob McIntyre out. Right, he's all right.
Sergio is ranked higher in the world than all of these people that you mentioned, and he's got the Ryder Cup record to back it up. How could you not pick him? Based on a feeling of, he smashed up a few bunkers in Saudi. Or dragged his putter over a few greens in Saudi.
But he has got 1 pick, and that's amazing, isn't it, when you think Westwood has got 4 picks here. Garcia's got 1.
Etiquette goes a long way.
Yeah. So is there anybody on anybody's list that we haven't talked about?
Paul Casey.
Cabrera Bello didn't get enough airtime, but that's just my issue around our position.
Yeah,
we've not talked about Casey yet.
Casey was a tough one.
Oh, Casey's in mine. I thought we talked about him.
No, we've not talked about him, no.
Casey's in.
I feel like he's an adopted American at times, Casey. I feel like, I don't know, he's such a big face out in America that, I don't know, I just don't... I almost see him as semi-American when he's out on the course these days in some respects. And I'm not saying I'm holding that against him on his pick, but equally, it didn't leap off the page for me when I was looking at my top 12.
Again, though, he's like 28th in the world or something.
Yeah.
How can you not pick him and yet pick people who? I mean, Cal, the fact you picked a guy who's 200 in the world is actually still the biggest injustice that hasn't been given its proper burial yet. I mean, that idea needs to just be put in the bin straight away. The fact that Paul Casey and Sergio being overlooked.
204th and very well mannered and a good team player, and someone who's not.
I think Casey probably is a great team player. The guy's oozes optimism and he has a fantastic demeanour on the course, Casey. I can see him being,
He got quite emotional actually as well in 2018 when that was his big return to the Ryder Cup after a number of years missing it.
But he's had 4 Ryder Cups with a 10-year gap, and he's still got a win percentage of 54%. I mean,
he's in shape.
But he's only had that 10-year gap.
It's forearms.
Yeah, his
forearms
are massive. He's only had that 10-year gap because of the qualification criteria. So I think he makes it in my team.
Just to see Johnny Longsocks out there as well.
I mean, Johnny. Oh yeah, is that his caddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd lift morale as well. So, I think if you actually just stacked up the American team and this European team that we're trying to pick at the moment and did it on world rankings, it would look embarrassing how low the European rankings are on average. And if you're leaving out people like Sergio and Casey, it's not going to do any favours on that standpoint.
To be fair, maybe next week we give the Americans a
I think
start.
so. I think we can give it a run through, and then we can start marrying them up against some of these pairs. Have we got what? I've seen a few people scribbling away throughout this.
So we've got 8 picks that are in. They are Rory McIlroy, not in world ranking order. Rory McIlroy, Victor Hovland, John Rahm, Lee Westwood, Tommy Fleetwood, Shane Lowry, Tyrrell Hatton, and Justin Rose. We've got 5 that are had 2 or more votes. They are Ian Poulter, Graham McDowell, Bernd Wiesberger, Francesco Molinari, and Paul Casey. And then we've got a number of people who just had 1 vote, like Matt Wallace, Cabrera Bello, the Dude, Bob McIntyre, Stenson, Fitzpatrick, and Sergio. So are we binning off the 1 voters?
Well, I don't want to drop Bob
'Cause this is
McIntyre. I'll fight
consensus.
for him to the day I die, but I don't think that's going to be a productive use of everyone's time on this podcast.
So basically, we've got to narrow 5 down to 4. So it's Poulter, GMAC, Wiesberger, Francesco Molinari, or Paul Casey.
Oh, it's got to be
I'm
Molly.
happy to have.
So we're dropping Sergio here. Are we actually saying that we're dropping Sergio?
They only
Really?
had 1
It's a
pick.
democratic world we live in, Bruce. And as a millennial, I know you're probably the biggest advocate of kind of democratic principles. I mean, shaking your head here, but
I'm not a millennial. I'm Generation Y.
are you
or
younger?
Generation Z.
You were sub.
Jesus. Post-millennial. Unbelievable.
If we drop Sergio, I'm getting off this podcast right now because that guy,
Okay,
that
so
guy
that
is
makes it
the
easier to vote
leading
this.
point scorer on the Ryder Cup.
I mean, the fact that we've got Molinari with multiple picks here and Garcia's not even getting a look in, it does feel
what are you talking
does
about?
feel like
I mean,
a bit of a
it's
travesty of
absurd.
justice.
Yeah. He's ranked 30th in the world.
I mean, Molinari can't buy a cut at the moment, can he? I mean,
But it's tough. Not everyone's going to make it. It's tough. Tough school.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we're light on rookies, would be my observation. Garcia's not to be in that second tier of debate seems a travesty of justice.
There's no points record for us to pick from. We don't have many rookies we can choose from.
Colsaerts and Garcia on the bus on the way home.
I think so. I think Bob McIntyre's
And Matt
a
Wallace.
bit outside the
and
ropes
Rafa.
as well.
Yeah, Bob McIntyre's driving that bus.
Okay.
Right. Well, that's a disgrace. But
Well, we've got to reach consensus on who's dropped out the 5 then. Poulter, GMAC, Wiesberger, Molinari or Casey. And that's...
Of those, Poulter is in, isn't he?
I put Poulter in. Cal?
Poulter was in, yeah.
Yeah,
I think Poulter's got to be in.
I'm
of
frequently
those.
wrong, so I'll bow out on that
I think
one.
you're gonna have to. Yeah, you're gonna have to bend the knee on this one, Sam, as they say in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, Poulter's in.
Paul Casey.
GMAC's got to be in.
When was the last time GMAC played a Ryder Cup?
See, I'd go Casey over GMAC any day.
I'd go Casey over GMAC.
GMAC's last Ryder Cup was 2014, which was Glen Eagles.
Casey played in 2018. He knows the system.
Yeah,
GMAC
for me,
GMAC's
it's Casey over. It's Casey over GMAC.
Yeah, 100%. GMAC's only up there because he won in Saudi end of last year. Or this year, whatever it was.
Casey's in.
March this year, wasn't it?
We're not kicking off GMAC yet. We've got three to fit into 2. Wiesberger, Molinari. Let's go with Wiesberger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll go with Wiesberger
Over
on that.
Molinari, no doubt. Give Austria their first Ryder Cup
Wiesberger.
hero.
Yeah.
Wiesberger's in. We've got GMAC or Francesco.
You could even have an Austrian powerhouse and bring that Lucas Berregard in. Didn't he beat Woods in the... Didn't he beat
he
Woods
hasn't
in the
got-
WGC match play event?
Whoa.
He's tailed off a bit there.
Yeah, he has.
Tailed off.
Just spent the last hour sorting this out. Stop
Sorry, I
throwing
was just
left
thinking
field
about
shit
a
in.
bit of an Austrian pair in there.
Yeah. So, mate, some of your criteria for picking players here, either age and the fact they're a rookie, trying to fit people based on nationality, or...
You're the one who thought Rory Sabatini was South African.
I mean, he was born in South Africa and he changes.
You've gone with Matt Fitzpatrick because you share the same surname. So it's the way the cookie crumbles.
It's just absolutely not true. I base my opinion on facts.
So, back to the point.
Wiesberger's in. Wiesberger's in.
So Molinari's dropped.
We've got one space to fill. It's GMAC or Molinari.
I mean, that's absurd.
That's what we're faced with. I mean, we might as well start from scratch. If you want to get rid of these two guys,
should we bring Sergio back from the dead and chuck him in?
Is that what's happening? I think it might be.
I think I'd be more comfortable with Sergio.
We whittled it down. So we had Polter, Casey, Wiesberger, GMAC, and Francesco. We've got Polter, Casey, and Wiesberger in, and now we're just binning the two because we don't think either of them.
Which gives us 11 players.
Yeah, we need to get Bruce back up on his chair. So stick Sergio in.
That's very kind.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Samuel?
Yeah, I mean, to Bruce's point, I'm not happy with the level of rookie representation. And for me,
you'd like a couple more left-handers.
Yeah, I'd like some more left-handers. But apart from that, I suppose on paper it stacks up at the very least.
Mate, at this rate, you're gonna be firing emails off to the European team with ideas like, tell your opposition to hold their breath in their backswing, or these other sort of snake oil methods of playing match play golf.
I'm just thinking about it. Just thinking, I don't know. Anyway,
do you hold your breath in your backswing?
Right. So that's our 12 then. That's our 12, and we're going to do a rebuttal at some point on the American Plex. It'd be interesting to see, genuinely, what happens with the tournament if it goes ahead, whether it's played with or without spectators, and most importantly, whether the Cookie Jar 12 make it through to Singles Day.
Any comments or complaints? Please let us know. Any fellow Colsarts fans out there also, let me know.
I can imagine there's huge disappointment that they've seen Colsarts not make the final 12, considering there's over 200 better golfers than him in the world, and he's not been picked for a flagship team event. I mean, I can imagine our listeners are absolutely already up in arms. They're leaving in their droves.
We've got to add a bit of tongue in cheek to this. He was mine.
Right. So should we recap the team then?
Yeah, our 12: Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, Shane Lowry, Tyrrell Hatton, Lee Westwood, Victor Hovland, Justin Rose, Polter, Casey, Wiesberger, and Sergio.
And there you have
pretty good.
In other news, a lot of rumours going around the UK on 11th of May.
Yeah, we're recording this on the 4th of May. There's obviously the heavy rumours that the 11th of May is going to be the day.
Yeah, obviously that'll be fantastic for all of us. I know we're all itching to get out and play golf, having been locked up for 6 weeks now. So yeah, I'll get the clubs clean for next Monday if it turns out to be accurate.
We're going to be jousting away, hopefully. 7:30 a.m. on the 11th of May if it happens, but let's just keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah,
in 10-minute intervals.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see whether there's any kind of grace period given to golf clubs or greenkeeping staff to just try and get the courses back in order. I guess if the government announces on Thursday that they are going to ease the lockdown, then maybe there's a bit of time needed for greenkeepers to just get courses back into shape if they've only been doing the minimum essential maintenance. But I'm sure that above all, people will just be happy to go out and play regardless of the state that the courses are in. So yeah,
let's just get out there.
Cool.
Until then, thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget, get in touch at Cookie Jar Golf, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Thank you.
Watch this.